The brand new Spy Chase stunt show at Warner Bros. Movie World has officially opened, but is it any good? Well, after seeing it a couple of times, here's my thoughts. Spy Chase Stunt Show is the replacement for the Hollywood Stunt Driver 2 show. Right off the bat, there's a massive noticeable difference between Hollywood Stunt Driver 2 and Spy Chase Stunt Show. The logo at the entrance has obviously been replaced with a nice 3D sign, and as you enter the main courtyard, you pass through the offices of this spy organization. There's a little soundscape playing with some office sounds and phones ringing and things. And in the main courtyard area before you enter the arena, there's some new decorations on the walls, posters and graffiti to tie in with the storyline. There's also a green screen where they get younger guests to volunteer to record a little segment that gets played later during the show. The main arena itself hasn't changed too much, it's basically the same design. There's some new decorations around, and the location is supposed to be set in Italy, in a vague downtown sort of area. So there's lots of posters, cafes, bicycles, flowers, sort of vaguely European looking stuff. It's simplistic theming, but I think it serves its purpose well enough. Where Hollywood Stunt Driver 2 had quite a lengthy pre-show segment, this isn't included in the actual runtime of the show. However, they do have a character who walks around in front of the audience, interacting with guests and doing silly gags and jokes. This guy was very funny, and I believe he was actually quite a well-known performer that used to work at Movie World as a similar role, and he was hilarious. He did such a great job at making the audience laugh while also being respectful and not embarrassing people or making people feel humiliated. Another thing to note is that there is the addition of a new original score for Spy Chase Stunt Show, which is fantastic. It gives the atmosphere of the arena a much more high quality feel. I personally felt like Hollywood Stunt Driver 2 was a little bit trashy and targeted more towards like motorheads and stuff, which isn't necessarily a problem, but I feel like for a park that advertises itself as being Hollywood on the Gold Coast, it didn't really fit the bill to match the branding. So I was very pleased with the branding of Spy Chase Stunt Show. I thought that the music did a fantastic job at serving that purpose. It really elevated the feel of the arena, and it almost felt like a different space, even though they hadn't changed too much. And then the show begins. There's a sort of mission directive type thing that plays on the screen. There's a kind of robotic assistant called Iris, and there's the mission director who comes out, who's kind of like a James Bond sort of Mission Impossible style character, and he's the host of the show, and he's excellent. The performer that played this character on the day that I visited did a fantastic job. He was really energetic and enthusiastic. The main villain of the show appears frequently on the screen. He's a man wearing a yellow suit, an eye patch, and a bowler hat, and he's the head of the evil organization Havoc, who wants to rule the world. Their mission is to find something called the Atlas Box, which is some powerful artifact or something. Honestly, the storyline's not overly complex. It's a fairly simple spy-style story. The host has to find a volunteer, and I say volunteer lightly because it's not really a volunteer, it's an actor that comes out, and this is a really funny moment. It's a character who's pretending to be a guest, walking into the arena at the last second with a small bucket of popcorn looking for his daughter. The mission director ropes him into the organization to become a spy, and he gets to choose his own vehicle, and he chooses this tiny little motorbike. And after that, some of the Havoc villains come out, and there's like a whole chase sequence. There's also the main sort of poster girl of Havoc, who's a sort of kick-ass motorbike riding woman. There's a kind of tug of war to get the Atlas Box. And this was a lot of fun. In Hollywood Stunt Driver 2, one of the main highlights of the show was when the quad bike does a jump, and that was like a big moment. But during this show, that's happening non-stop. Everyone's jumping all the time off of ramps. Lots of motorbikes speeding past, jumping, doing wheelies, cars doing drifts and chasing each other. There's so much stuff happening here, it's honestly difficult to know where to look sometimes. And the difference between this and Hollywood Stunt Driver 2 is night and day. After some vehicle-based chasing and stunts, it moves to a hand-to-hand combat fight sequence that takes place on the building on the left side of the stage, which was really cool. It was fantastic to see a bit more variation in the types of stunts that we see during the show compared to Hollywood Stunt Driver 2, and this was very enjoyable. It was a little bit difficult to see what was going on, and they did have a camera on, like, to show what was happening on the screen, but I guess there's not too much they can do about that given the building is a bit further away. An unexpected moment during this section was when one of the Havoc cars comes out and a villain gets out and starts firing this big gun at the building, and there's all these explosions going off. It's very intense, and you can feel the heat of the explosions. I thought that was going to be like a one-off thing, but there were lots more explosions throughout the show after that point, which was really cool. After the fight sequence, the volunteer character comes out on top of the building in a window and he gets pushed off the building by the villain. In a really impressive stunt, he falls into like a trash bin. After that, there's another huge chase sequence, and the good guys manage to retrieve the Atlas box, but then the villain on the screen comes back and reveals he's got a secret weapon, and they bring out this giant tank-looking thing, which I was not expecting at all. This was the biggest surprise of the show by far, and I was so surprised. This thing is incredibly cool. It's like something from Halo, and it's very intimidating. It drives around the arena pretty quickly, and the person on top is firing a gun. There's explosions going off everywhere. The tank's firing, and the bullets are supposed to be like hitting the audience kind of, so there's like sparklers going off in front of the audience, which is a cool effect. Thankfully, the good guys managed to stop it. The volunteer character retrieves the gun and fires it at the tank and saves the day, and it's a huge grand finale. There's sparklers going off everywhere, which made the audience go pretty crazy. Everyone was cheering and clapping. It seemed like it was a huge hit. I was really impressed by Spy Chase Stunt Show. I think it's a massive improvement over Hollywood Stunt Driver 2, and I'm not saying that to throw shade at anyone involved in the previous show. I just think this is much more fitting for Warner Brothers Movie World as a brand, and it's basically an improvement in every area. It is a much shorter show. The runtime is approximately 15 minutes, and it only is shown twice throughout the day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. But you can tell they've really tightened it. They've trimmed the time down. They've upped the budget, they've increased the amount of performers and stunts involved, and variation of stunts. The storyline is more cohesive and less contrived and more on brand. I think it's excellent. I think it's a fantastic upgrade. It's still not on par with Police Academy as such, but it's definitely in the same DNA as that show. If I had any notes, it probably wouldn't be for the show as such. It would probably be more for the arena stadium and the venue itself, because during the morning it's fine to see the show there, but in the afternoon it gets very hot, and in some areas of the seating the sun is glaring and it's almost unbearably hot. You're surrounded by other people and you're just drenched in sweat, and it makes it a very unpleasant viewing experience. The seats are quite uncomfortable, and I feel like they could really upgrade these to more high quality options rather than bench style. It would be better if they had seats with backs on them, because that's hugely uncomfortable. And in the afternoon show I was having a lot of aches and pains and sweating like crazy, and it was just horrible. Yeah, but that's not an issue with the show itself. I think if they had some more shade as well, I think that would make it a lot better, like on the opposite side of the arena. I don't know how it would work with the explosion effects now, but I think it would just be a good idea for everyone, for the audience, for the performers, and to make it weatherproof so they could run the show even if it was raining without the performers having a miserable time. I also think it would be fantastic if they showed this stunt show in the evening when it was darker. I think that would really highlight the explosion effects, and maybe if there was a lighting package with some extra effects to add into the mix, I think that would be so cool. What do you think of Spy Chase Stunt Show? Do you like the look of it? Are you a fan? Or do you miss Hollywood Stunt Driver 2? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Before we finish, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all the members and sponsors of Team YumYum for supporting my content. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.